Welcome to another episode of 010 Podcast, where we strive to bring you open, honest, and authentic conversation. I'm Josie, and I'm with Andy, and we're going to talk to you today about gratitude and how we use it in our day-to-day life. And stay tuned till the end, because then we're going to talk about our own practices and what we do to try to stay in the moment of gratitude, because we know it's not always easy. So
why is it hard? Why is it hard to
why
stay?
Is it hard?
I mean, it isn't. Well, and that's why it's a practice, right?
Yeah.
Because you do have to. You can let life bog you down if you allow it, right? But if you do, the more you practice staying in the moment of gratitude, the easier it is. And then pretty soon you're just grateful for everything around you.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like that. You want that to be the foundations of it, of just your day-to-day, versus having to come up from a bad spot all the time.
Right.
It's hard to make progress when we're starting at a low level and continuously trying to build ourselves back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes find myself, if it's been really good and things have been flowing really nice, like I feel like I'm in a dream. I told that to a friend this last weekend. I'm like, am I dreaming?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't seem possible that this is how life can be. And I'm not saying I'm not struggling or things aren't hard, but it's like, dude, pay attention.
Right.
Yeah. Because things are pretty freaking awesome right now, or whatever.
I think you're so right, because I think the same thing to myself, and I'm like, is my life really any different? No, but I think that I just am so much more aware of all the amazing things that life brings to you if you allow it.
Right. That flow word, right?
Let it flow. Have we really used the word flow in every single podcast so far? Pretty sure.
Close.
Yeah.
I think you and I both strive for that so much, though,
Yeah.
because it's,
life's easy
and
that way.
It's not just business, but it's any relationships and stuff. But definitely we came together over business in the first place. So it was
Right.
a lot of conversation around that and keeping the flow going and what feels right. And it's really tough to know what feels right when you're not in gratitude.
Absolutely.
You second guess it, you doubt it, you fear it, all those things. So yeah, gratitude's a big thing. And I know it's definitely something people talk about a lot, but there's a difference between talking and implementing.
Absolutely. But some people poke fun at me for this one, but like what you say, when you say talking about it, what you talk about really does become what you see, right? And your reality and your world. And so speaking gratitude daily is very important, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've maybe struggled with, not struggle, but I mean, what's the difference between being thankful and being grateful?
That is a tough thing. I actually studied that a little bit because I was confused by it. So
they're very similar.
They're very similar. Thankful, I feel like, is more of an act. Gratitude is a feeling. And so you can be thankful for a lot of things. You verbalize it, that.
Right.
But until you can start to really feel it, because that changes you at a cellular level of what's going on in the body. So like being able to feel it was what I really struggled with for a long time, was the feeling of gratitude.
Right.
And then once that becomes familiar, it's easier to get into it because it's in your body then.
Right.
And that's the practice. That's I think the day-to-day,
saying the words
routine
helps.
Saying it helps a lot.
And so that's where I think being thankful ties in, because when you are thankful, you do say those words. Like, I'll give an example. My dog. I struggle with my dog a little bit. And especially earlier in our relationship, our 5-year relationship, he'd be naughty. Obviously, he's a puppy, and I really focused on that. And then I realized one day somebody told me he's your protector. He protects you, which I knew, but to have it said that way. So I woke up every morning and I would tell him, "Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for keeping me safe while I slept." Right?
Yeah.
And I am not kidding when I say it didn't happen overnight, obviously, but like he changed. His behaviors changed. He started, and I would, instead of telling him he was a naughty boy, which sometimes he is, and then I will tell, but I mean, I thank him every single day. Thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for keeping the house safe. When I'm gone, you need to keep the house safe, and then I thank him when I come home. But it's almost like he lives in a state of being grateful too, because he's been recognized as a protector of our home and a protector of me. But anyway, I think just speaking those things too, and thanking my employees when they, even just every day, I just thank them every day. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for doing a great job. Thank you for taking care of our guests.
Who doesn't want to hear that?
Right.
And who wouldn't want to
Friends,
do that for you
family,
again?
just
for that?
a thank you. And then when you're constantly being thankful, then yes, it turns into this emotion of gratitude that you sort of live in. It's a space that you live in. Right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, totally does.
Yeah.
I think employees is a great, a great space to talk about that too. And so is like relationships, especially I found with, like if you're dating or whatnot, like, I don't know if this is like how I grew up, because I feel like we were thankful for each other, but I don't think we said it a whole lot. Where it wasn't a learned behavior for me to be very grateful. Like I was in a way, like I recognized if somebody helped me out, but it was very service based. It wasn't, you were a leader today, or you were, confident today, or a leader for the team, or anything like that. It was more of a like do, and then you get thanks for it.
Yes.
And that's probably my perception. If my parents were listening to this, they'd probably be like, that's not what we meant at all. But it's definitely how I learned thankfulness, I would say, over gratitude. Like being abundantly grateful was a different thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think you're right. And bringing up relationships, that's interesting because don't we, this is a little bit of switching gears, but I see this a lot on social media. I see it a lot where, boy, women are dogging on men, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that maybe they don't deserve it, but it's like, we all want to be appreciated. And so I think when men, we as women, when men do good things, it's kind of like my dog.
Yeah, you have
I hate to use that analogy, but when, and it's not just men, but as a female, when a male does a nice thing and you say thank you to them, you can almost see them stand up a little tight, like they're kind of proud, and and then of course what happens next, they want to do more nice things for you, right? So when we're picking on these poor men who go to work every day and then they don't come home and help you with the dishes, well, the times that they do help, you got to say thank you.
Yes.
Then they want to do it more. And I think that's me too, right? When someone recognizes me and tells me thank you and that I do a good job or whatever, again, it's an emotion that then you start to live in, right? And you want more of, so then you do more nice things, or you live in a different space, right? And it does tie into acts, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And it's an easier thing to see sometimes.
Yes.
And then, so it's a great starting point. But like, I'd say we can up level it a bit. Have you ever felt like you held back a compliment or a thank you to somebody out of, I don't know, I want to say resentment, but like that's not really probably the best word because it doesn't have to be that big. But do you feel like have ever held back on compliments?
For sure.
Just in case.
Different parts of my life, yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And also, I think that part of it is your upbringing, a little bit of it too, because when you're raised to just do you're expected to work hard. There shouldn't be a thank you.
Yeah.
Because you're just expected to work hard. You're expected to show up. You're expected to do all the things. So then why would you thank somebody for that, right? That was kind of the mindset that I always had.
Right. Yeah.
Until I started, being a leader of people, and I realized how you could light up their whole day with a thank you, right?
100%.
Right. Because people want to be seen. They want to be.
Well, and I started thinking too, like a compliment, we'll say. Like you're in Target line and someone's got a really cute
Fill in the
bag
blank,
or
yeah.
shoes or like smile. As I started giving more compliments that way, if it came up, like I should just say it, like, hey, I like your shirt.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, thanks. You know, like it's not, I didn't say it to like feel good about myself, but I felt worse about myself if I didn't say it.
Right.
Right. So like anytime that I feel like, oh, you should or say something about that, I try to respect it, because who knows?
Who knows
what that did for somebody?
Right.
I was walking out in Fargo over the weekend, and it was booming with college kids. Like, it must just be the thing, right? That downtown Fargo. I've never been, right? So we were walking to go. I was wanting some food, of course. We were walking to grab some supper.
Where'd you go?
Ooh, see, and I'm not going to remember the name of it.
That's all right.
It was a really hip little place. It was cute. It was a one-liner, one word name. It was like 10 o'clock. I was just
curious.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway, so we were walking there.
People want to know.
Yeah, people want to know.
Yeah.
And, we were walking there, and this girl like turned around and she just like looked at me in the eye and said, "You are so beautiful."
Aww.
And I was like, I don't have anything to say. I was just like, thank you so much. I was like, that's so kind of you to stop in your like day of fun with your friends and you turn around to tell me that, you know.
Yeah.
And the more compliments I've given, the more people have given me.
Yes.
Or maybe I'm more noticeable of them or something. But
Yes.
it's interesting how that happens, how it's reciprocated in one way, shape, or form.
Well, all these little, like, I think of all these, even when I'm saying them, I feel cheesy saying them, but they're so legitimate. What you put out in the world does come back to you. If not, I mean, threefold, right, is the saying, but like it comes back to you. Everything is circular and cyclical, and for sure, if you put that out in the world, it comes back to you.
Right.
It just
Yeah,
does.
It does.
Well, and you become more beautiful, quite frankly.
Right.
Right, because you're shining from the inside out, which is another. But it's the truth. Beauty comes from the inside out. It just does.
It does.
No one can argue that one with me, but because you literally see it radiate in people.
Yeah.
People who have a beautiful soul, you just see it in them, right? But I think gratitude is a huge piece of that, and so let's go back to this thankful versus grateful, right? So thankful is more of a,
I consider
what did you
an
say?
act.
Like an act, whereas grateful is more of an emotion.
Yep, I would say it's more
a state you live in, maybe.
There is some really neat research and practices to like to be able to feel gratitude, because I got really curious on this, because there was a point where things were quite numb, and it wasn't that I was like doing poorly or anything. It was just like I didn't feel big. I also didn't feel smaller.
Right.
It was just like, it's like, okay, there's something here. Like I say I'm thankful and doing the things or whatever, but I didn't feel the gratitude. And then I went through a training with Tony Robbins, and he did this awesome thing called priming. And it was, and we've done this in our retreats before already. So it's very intentional movement to get your body into a grateful state, so that you can remember what it's like to feel grateful over something, and then you can start to, it can pour over into other people, but you kind of have to feel it here first. And it was all about your heart, right? Your heart, and being able to remember a time that was very joyful and that was an easy gratitude, like something easy to be grateful for,
right,
so that it can be easier to be grateful for things that may not be as evident.
Right.
So the gratitude, for me anyway, it's a feeling. It's definitely like an internal state to try to get to.
Right. And I wonder if there are people out there going like, well, what do you mean? What does it feel like? What does that feel like?
I know.
And sadly, I think that is
the big problem.
I think so too. And when you say numb, or you say, people can't see your hand gestures, but just like flat. Yep. Like a right, not high, not low.
Not bad, not good. Not, there's no like judgment on it necessarily. It's just like you just want
living life.
Yeah. And until you have to feel all of it.
Right.
Start feeling all of it once you start feeling, right? Like you can't just feel the good or just feel the bad. Like once you start feeling it all, right?
Right.
But the best way like that I remember needing to feel it was something when I was really young, and that I could go back to and be like, okay, this, like, I felt really excited, really joyful, really like proud, or whatever it was.
Right.
And that was way easier to get grateful for than something really tragic, right? And I was like, I've got a girlfriend who is going through a really tough time with her family. Her little girl's very sick. And when I read her posts or like reach out to her or whatever, she's like trying to find the gratitude in this situation, and it's super hard. So like these big things, it's easy to think, oh, I'm so grateful for my healthy kids. I'm grateful for a thriving business. I'm grateful for my friendships in these big scenarios. But like the toughest to me is like the day-to-day of wanting to always be there in that state, so that when these big things come up, it's familiar. It's not like you have to go reaching for it. Right. It's there.
Right. Yeah. And that's why when you said earlier about it being a practice, that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. And so when you do this priming, and I've done it before, what is an example of something that you had, a memory that you had that you felt very grateful? Like give an example.
Sure. So
like it's as simple as maybe like being a kid on Christmas morning or something, right? Because remember you'd get so happy and excited and right?
Yes. So one of them that I remember, I was so grateful when I was school shopping with my aunt. So my aunt always took us school shopping. We are from a small town in Buffalo. It was a 2-hour drive to go shopping, like to find a Walmart even at the time. We had, I think, a Pomida within an hour, but like to do like school shopping well, my mom wasn't a huge fan of that, but my aunt loved it, and she was into fashion and all the things. So we just loved going with my Aunt Kim, and we spent a couple of weeks in Hill City, South Dakota, and she had a flower shop, she did her thing, but then after work she would take us shopping, and we went, spent 20 minutes picking out a folder. Like her patience was beyond, with 3 middle schoolers to pick out clothes. And so we found pants and did all this fun stuff. And I remember taking those bags in and like being so excited to go through all this stuff. So that was the start of it. Then my mom came to get us, and we had this blue Aerostar van, and she came in and she's like, I have a surprise for you. Come out to the van. And my girlfriend was hiding in the back, and we opened up the back of the hatch or whatever, and she was laying there, and she like jumped out all excited. And I just remember being like, my mom's the coolest, and we have all these new clothes, and we can't wait to show everything off. And I don't know, it was just super fun and exciting. So I think back on that moment, if I'm having some issues of gratitude, like just those feelings, and they're playful, young, youthful, innocent, and easy to go into that state.
Because that's kind of what he said. That's kind of what Tony Robbins says, right? Is to find something easy like that. Mm-hmm. Something easy that
you don't have to pull for it, right?
Right.
Or like getting a new puppy. Like, that was another thing that was kind of a surprise. My parents showed up with this dog and it was Christmas morning, and he was like barking in the basement, and they were trying to make noises so that we didn't know that this dog was downstairs. Had no idea. They were just kind of weird that morning. Right. And then they're like, okay, your last present is downstairs. And we went down there, and it was this brown dog. I don't even know what kind of dog he was. Called him Pounder because his tail would flap the ground super hard, and his feet were huge, and he was a puppy, so he was playing around, and he was loud all morning, turns out. And then we named him Pounder after that, and it was just like one of those moments that is really easy to be grateful for.
Right. So what about people, like I think about, as I've gotten older, it's more and more evident to me that, we don't all have the same childhoods. Right? Yeah. And I don't think it's always that evident, because typically you're surrounded with people that have similar experiences in you in how they were raised, right? Because you live in a neighborhood, so everyone kind of has similar, and then you go to the similar school, whatever. It just seems like, right, people your friends all had a very similar upbringing than you did, right? So what about kids that don't? What about adult human people that didn't get a puppy on Christmas? Like maybe they didn't even have Christmas, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've thought of that as I think about when I'm grateful. I think, does everybody have these things that they can be grateful for? And for me, it's a little more simple. Like, I'm grateful for the sun. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, every morning I wake up and I'm so grateful to be able to see the sun. Mm-hmm. Things like that, for a beautiful day. And then I have to remind myself, oh gosh, there's some not beautiful days coming up. So what am I going to be grateful for then? And it's fine, I'll find things. But I've found in the winter especially, I just go to YouTube and I just Google gratitude meditation.
Yeah.
Or gratitude frequency. There's all kinds of frequencies out there because we are walking frequencies, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother ball game.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah. But that's scientific fact, right? So anyway, if you can find a frequency that you resonate with or that you're trying to bring in and your body can connect with it, but also there's some really great, just simple meditations. And the minute I say the word meditate, I can just feel people being like, right. They tense up and they go, I'm not good at it. Well, nobody is.
No.
Nobody's good at meditation. That's why we do it. You talk to people, like monks who meditate for years and they'll say, I struggle with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I found some really great if I have 5 minutes, that's what I'll Google, 5-minute gratitude meditation. Mm-hmm. And you can find them and you can just find a quiet spot. And you may get out of that 5 minutes and think, well, that didn't work, but it did something, right? And if you can clear your space, clear your mind for even a moment or two to allow some of those things in. So I think of that when I think of maybe people who are like, well, what if I don't have anything to draw upon? Well, there's other tools. There's other ways in which you can find to practice the act of gratitude. Yeah.
There's so many ways, and I have a lot of thoughts. When you said allow things in, you have to take the time to allow that in. So there's so many things I didn't know that I enjoyed, or that were, they brought my mood up, because I wasn't present yet, right? So like if you can just get present and be like, oh wow, I really enjoyed that, then do more of it. Doesn't mean it's like luxury or anything. It's just
typically it's not.
So I was just thinking, like, honestly, like we have a sheet over our table right here, and like the feeling of things. I will walk through TJ Maxx and I'll feel every soft blanket, right? And it's like, okay, that one feels really good, or that's a different kind of soft. Like, let your body just enjoy things, and feel that. Not that that's not gratitude. I'm not saying that, but like once you figure out what you like, it's way easier to find gratitude in those hard times.
Agreed.
Yeah. So present, and that's what meditation is just kind of being present with your body and your mind for a minute and putting some good info on it.
Right, because we all have a lot going on.
We do have a lot going on.
And I see people all the time that come into Karma Vita that are just like, I always say it's not about the service. It's not about the massage or the facial or the wax, whatever it is. That it's about just taking that few minutes to yourself in a nice, safe space. So that can be at the park. It can be, you might have a safe space in your home or in your car. Like I have a safe space in my car. When I drive up, a lot of times will take 2-3 minutes just alone in my car. Yeah. Just to have a peaceful moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of times when I pull up to meet you at our coffee dates,
I'm sitting there.
You're sitting in the car for a minute.
Well, and do you see where I park? Then I park so that the sun is shining into my eyes, because
it's very intentional.
It's very intentional because, again, we're busy all day, every day, and we don't always have the time for the sun, which I think is very healing. Mm-hmm. And I always feel charged. Like I feel like it gives me a charge of energy, of whatever you want to call it, of life.
Yeah.
But I think, and I love the word intentional, because kind of everything that we do kind of has to be intentional, right? If you're wanting to make changes in your life, you have to take 5 minutes to do a gratitude or whatever kind of meditation you want to do. Maybe you want to do something else. It's fine, but like you have to find that time to reset.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times we think it needs to be this 20, 30 minute, or I need an
Right.
hour or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not much for tattoos, like I don't have them on, but I understand when people like they put something on their skin or a bracelet that they wear or whatever, and they look at it for a minute, just a second, and it reminds you. Like obviously divorced now, but when I was married, like that ring meant a ton to me, and I think I talked to you about that. Like that was the weirdest part was every time I went to adjust somebody, I saw my ring, and it made me think just for a split second of what's important. And I think you can do that with a lot of different things. You can hang something in your car or whatever. No one else needs to know what it means to you, but when you know what it means, it's like just like kind of a reset, to have those little reminders. Yeah, it doesn't need to be anything huge and big.
That's what
There you go.
I
Yeah.
did that for.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think symbols can come into play in reminding us of, where we want to be,
Right.
center us, bring us back.
Yeah.
In the crazy world of life. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right? I've got this little ornament that a patient made. He was a woodworker, and I was taking care of his wife, and she has dementia, and he would always tell me about the games that he made at home and all this stuff, and he would bring them in and wanted us show this to the kids. I think they'll really enjoy it because we see a lot of kids in the practice. And he brought me this ornament, and it was like it was cut out, like it was seriously like this, I don't even know, like 2 millimeters thick. Like it was so thin, like it was so precisely done that like all the etching out in this ornament. And I was like, where do I put this thing? Like I don't want to just bring it out at Christmas, and honestly it's not going to go with my tree. So I have it hanging in my car, and people are asked
perfect.
like, what's that for? And I said, it just reminds me of that this is bigger. This is what we're meant to do is a little bit bigger than what I can even imagine, and people are struggling with things bigger than I am right now, right? Not to put it down what I'm going through, and that's not it. It's just to know that it just reminds me to be grateful.
Right.
So yeah, it hangs in my car. It's a very awkward, weird thing to be in there, but I always get asked when I have a passenger. I'm the driver most of the time.
Right.
Alone in my car is pretty
Right.
normal for me.
Right.
But yeah, definitely just those little symbols to remind us of things to be grateful for.
Right.
Or whatever. I can't remember. You showed me a video once, and I can't remember if it was gratitude or authenticity that's the highest frequency.
Authenticity. Yeah.
Gratitude's up there probably too.
Probably.
But yeah,
I didn't
authenticity.
look. It's the Spain scale of emotion, I think is what
that's
it's called. SPANE. It's interesting. If you want something, a little rabbit hole to go. It's not really a rabbit hole, but it's an interesting thought process. Yeah, that authenticity is the strongest emotion that by far that people feel, and that ties in with gratitude too, right?
It does, but I think like this little rabbit hole will come right back, because if we aren't authentic in our gratitude,
Yes.
if we do what everyone else is saying to do and don't figure out our own way to make it
Right.
right, it's not going to work.
Right. Because I think of like when you said that, you said to the, you see someone standing in line at Target and you say, oh, your shirt's cute or whatever. Even just that little thing, right? I've had people say things like that to me before where I can 100% tell that they're being kind and they liked my shirt. And then I've had people say things like that to me where I'm like, no way. Like, you did not mean that.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, you're just saying it to say it or whatever. I don't know, whatever motivates people. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, I try to remind myself of this too. If someone tells you your shirt looks cute and you don't feel that it's legit, who cares?
Right. Don't take it.
Who cares?
Whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
because at least they're trying. Maybe they're just trying out. Maybe they're just, they're trying to
open
find
their
a
voice.
space of,
Yeah.
right, of whatever. But again, you can feel when people are not being authentic with you. If you're paying attention, you can feel it. Does it make them a bad person? No, it's not what I'm saying. Some people are trying to find their authenticity, right? Or they're trying to find them regardless. Yeah, it is. It's authenticity.
Yeah.
but I would guess Gratitude might be up there. Before I forget to say this, there's a really great song called Gratitude by Brandon Lake. Have you ever heard it? It's one of my all-time favorite songs. I absolutely love it. So if, people like that kind of music.
It's funny you mentioned that, because on the drive here, I was like, I would like to pull up some song lyrics and like read them. That would have been a good one. I should have asked you,
so
hey, do you know a song that's
there's something about it.
I don't know what we are doing today.
I don't know what it is about that song, but I absolutely love it, and I will just crank it. And well, again, maybe that's my way of finding some gratitude in my day. I don't know, but so good. Are you familiar with Brandon Lake?
So I'm really bad. Names of songs, artists, all the things. But if I hear the song, I'll know if I've heard it before.
Yeah. He's a Christian singer. So I know a lot of people don't listen to that genre of music, but he could easily cross. His voice is just killer. Fun. But anyway, I actually think that song, I want to say he might have said, I saw an interview with him, and I think he might have said one of his songs, I don't think it was Gratitude, but it hit number one on like almost every genre on the Billboard charts one time. So anyway, cool. He's very good if you're looking for something different to listen to.
Yeah.
What else do we want to talk about gratitude wise? Do you have a practice? We said we were going to say our own practices.
Yeah, our own practices. I do, but it's not probably very typical. I mean, I will, if I'm having a really hard time, I'll stop and do like 10 things that I'm grateful for or whatever. But I will write it down, but then I say it 3 times.
Yes.
Yes, I can like have the thought for a minute, but I make myself like say it a few times.
Yes. Why 3?
I don't know.
Power of 3?
Maybe so. I'm not really sure why it's 3. Or why I choose 3.
3 comes into those types of things a lot, though. Have you noticed that?
You're right. Yeah, it does.
But okay, go ahead.
Have to look up the number 3. We're numbers people.
Yeah,
we like
kinda.
to know things. Yeah. So that is one thing. But honestly, like my morning is very important to me, and it's how I wake up in the morning, and it's like I just say, I'm so glad to wake up today.
Yes.
Because frankly, I am. I'm very grateful to wake up this morning.
Because we know people that haven't woken up.
There are some people who haven't. Yep. Right.
So that should be the number one thing. Grateful for the breath in our lungs every morning, right? Yeah.
And honestly, it's so much easier for me to be grateful to wake up in the morning if I went to bed grateful. If I went to bed feeling off or whatever, and I'm just like crashing and whatever, then I kind of wake up similar feelings. So just kind of winding down and actually waking up that way, because I dream. You dream, right? You dream a lot. I dream a lot. They can kind of mess with you a little bit when you wake up in the morning. Yeah. So it's good. I remember one time I had a dream that my husband at the time cheated on me.
Yeah.
And
it's a common one.
It's like, I'm so sorry, but I'm kind of mad at you today. Yeah. Like, I need to
Which
get
is
rid
irrational.
Of this funk. It's so irrational.
Very irrational.
Very irrational. I'm working on
Not
it.
fair.
Just give me a second.
Poor guy.
Give me a second. Anyway, but and warm drink for me is just it's a grateful thing for me. Like when I hold it, but I've linked it when I make my drink, make my coffee, matcha, whatever I'm making, while I'm doing it, I tie those together. So it's like without me even thinking about it, it's happening, right? So, and I might run through my day and whatnot, but for the most part, I have had to kind of habit stack some of these things to make it.
Say that again. Habit stack.
That is a technique from James Clear, which I don't know where he got it from, but there's a book called Atomic Habits, and that's how
I have it.
You have it?
I've probably read bits of it.
Well, now you know a whole chapter, habit stacking.
I need to get after that, yeah. Okay.
But it's, you stack some habits together. So a lot of it I don't even think about anymore. I'm not saying I couldn't do better, because I can do better with gratitude, but at least I know that I have a few of these things that are in place that I don't really have to think about anymore.
Right. But initially you did. And I think that's part of what we're trying to get across today is, one of the things we've promised with the 010 podcast is, and with our 010 retreats, is to give people tools. We don't have the answers. I don't.
No, and I've tried many tools that don't work for me.
Right. That other people, your morning and mine look very different.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
but yeah, everybody has to find their things that work for them. And so one of the things we've said is like, here's just some tools for you. Do you need to do a gratitude meditation? No, that's what I do. You know, do I need to have my morning like yours? No, I can't do it because my days look different every day, you know? But I think, yeah, right. That's what we promised, is some tools. So hopefully everybody took something out of today's discussion that they can use at home.
I think another thing that everyone's got, I feel like a space that it's lacking in. And so one of my spaces for a long time was finances. So that is where I had to like really focus in on more, and you know, than the rest of them. It's like we want to do this whole thing all the time, like make everything in our life so perfect from get go. And I had to really just decide to focus in on something else. So mine was finances. So that meant everything that I spent, like on my checks, I write thank you on them, even if it's going to MDU, utilities, whatever, or rent. I'm sure my landlords are like, dude.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I hope they don't feel like they need to respond.
Right.
But it was that, like, I needed to think about my finances in a different way and be thankful for it versus like, oh, you're spending more money today. That's like
flow.
Yeah. So I needed to change that. And that was one thing that I could do. Was
I listened to something recently that was just talking about the flow of money, how you're supposed to, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm spending, be thankful for the flow. Mm-hmm. Be thankful for what comes in, but be thankful also for what goes out, because then more can come in.
Yes.
So it's just it's a flow.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything was stopping at me.
Right.
When I was doing that.
Right.
And
right.
I didn't want that to be the case.
Right.
Yeah.
I do. I will say that when you bring up finances, because I struggle with that too. I struggle with like, oh, as long as I can pay the bills, I'm happy, that's not conducive to growing financially, right? And anyway, or letting it flow even. But I will say, when I deposit money in the bank, most specifically from Karma Vita, I say a thing. I pray over it. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful, for that. And I could expand that a little bit to include my personal finances flowing in and out too. But my personal, again, because every day is very different for me, all my days they don't start or end the same usually. And I'm okay with that. I know some people really need a routine. I don't. I'm okay with that. But I do wake up every morning, and maybe not every morning, but I sure try to wake up every morning and just be thankful for my healthy body, most specifically, grateful for my healthy body, grateful for the breath in my lungs, grateful for whatever opportunity is waiting for me in the day ahead. One of the things that I've been trying to add in is like grateful for all the people that I'm going to come in contact with for that day, because I think people feel that. Then it's not only just about me, right?
Right.
Then hopefully they feel that too, and that's something that carries in their day. Because again, there's a whole nother episode, but energetically, I want other people to feel how grateful I am for them.
Right.
And so that's probably my little simple, but again is, well,
you are
sometimes, or I try to be, and when I walk into my business space, I'm very grateful to have a space to be. I'm grateful, because I could pick apart my space if I wanted to, right?
Same.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm just grateful that I have a space. But I think some of that also, we've talked about this in other episodes, some of it comes with age, some of it comes with difficulties, and when you go through difficult things, you come out on the other side just really being grateful to have come through things, right?
Yeah, right.
Because some people don't.
No.
So.
Okay.
I'm grateful that I'm grateful.
I'm grateful that I'm grateful.
Because I haven't always been that way in my life. So I'm really grateful to be at a point in my life where I can feel all of those things every day.
Right.
Yeah. I'm grateful to be sitting here with you.
Yeah, same. Easy, wonderful conversation. And I think hopefully some people got not only tips, but just like a little hope that they're not alone if they're not feeling it yet and it's confusing.
Right.
That's where it starts, but I challenge them to get curious on gratitude and what works for them to get to that point to make this
Right.
world a better place, because it will.
Right, it's the ripple effect, right?
It is the ripple effect. Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you everybody so much for listening to 010 podcast. We hope you learned something new today about gratitude and something that you can take into your day-to-day life. So we'll see you all next week.